everyone out there in the music community. This is Michael Soldier 77 coming at you here. And this episode of What's Spinning, I'll be talking about a great album from a great band, one of my favorite bands. This is Darkness by Bloodgood, which originally came out in 1989. There you have it. And that quick snippet of a song you just heard was the second track, Let My People Go. So as you may know, there are 9 great tracks on this one. There you have it. And there's a 4th album, as I said, it came out in 1989. And Bloodgood is led by Michael Bloodgood, bass guitar, and Les Carlson on lead and backing vocals. As we know, Michael Bloodgood passed away 2-3 years ago. He went on to glory to be with the Lord. And on this album, we have Paul Jackson on guitars. Some good, awesome guitar playing on this album. And of course, Kevin Whistler on drums. And Kevin Whistler plays with such finesse on this album. It's pretty cool. Yeah, so it's a pretty good album. Just tell you a bit of backstory of how I got into Bloodgood. So back around 85, 86 period, I first got into Christian hard rock and metal back in 85. So the first 5 bands I got into, 5 or 6 bands, were Whiteheart, Petra, Jerusalem Rez, Day Band, Striper. Yeah, Petra, Jerusalem Rez, Day Band, Striper, and Whiteheart were the first few bands I got into. And then around 87 period, it was like another, that's what I call the first wave. The second wave of bands I got into around 87 period was Bloodgood, Barren Cross, Saint, Messiah, Prophet, and Leviticus. That was in the second wave I got into in 87 period, around that period. So at the time, Bloodgood had their debut album out, which is their self-titled one at the time. Then of course I got on Detonation. So about the 2 cassettes back in summer 87, Detonation, the first one. Of course, then I became, a Bloodgood fan amongst other hard rock and metal bands. Now, when I got into Bloodgood, I kind of skipped over this album for years. I kind of got out a little bit, or wasn't into as much. So I had the cassette to their debut. I had a cassette to Detonation and a cassette to Rock and Hard Place. And then I had a Live American Shaking World taped off. Then I bought the CD for All Stand Together. So this one, I kind of heard this one in its entirety. I don't think I heard it before this point in time. So when I bought the KMG 2-on-1 disc albums, it was the first one, Detonation, on one, and this one, Rock and Hard Place, on another disc. So it's 2 separate reissues, 2 albums in each reissue. So I ran through this album as part of that reissue, was back with Rock and Hard Place, and I ran through it, and that was a pretty good album. A lot of good songs. Then I bought the reissue. I sold that off and bought the reissue that Retroactive had out back around 2015, that Digipack. I listened to that, liked it, thought it was a good album, a fantastic album. So I got into the album, I thought it was really good. So I didn't really hear Darkness until years later in its entirety. The only songs I heard from the album were on the Live American Shaking World double live album, 2 different live CDs or cassettes, because I bought that album off a friend, taped them off years ago, back around 92, I think it was, if not mistaken, 92, 91. So I taped that off from a friend. So that's what I had on 2 9-minute cassettes, and then or both sides of the 9-minute cassette. And then I, as I said before, I got KMG reissues, ran through those, thought they're pretty good. And then I got the Digipack reissue of Darkness, and of course Rock and Hard Place. I sold those off. Then I bought the reissue back in 2023. I think that point in time, with the reissue, the last 2 reissues, including this one, which is done by Retroactive Records, I really got into this album. I really got into it, really dug it. It's almost like I was late to the party with this album. with this album. Kind of regret never got into it back then. I remember going to another community. I live in Grand Falls, Windsor, and I went about 40 minutes away. It was another place called Lewisport. I remember seeing a cassette there. In that they had little small mom and pop shop that sold Christian hard rock and metal, and a bit more variety than what you get in your average book Bible store. So they had a cassette at a Darkness. I should have bought it back in the day, but I didn't. I think it was the few times I went there, I looked at Barren Cross, Angelica, and Darkness by Bloodgood. And I passed over those. I remember buying the Barren Cross, State of Control, and Angelica from that shop in Lewisport, but I didn't get Darkness by Bloodgood, which I should have on cassette, and enjoyed it. I did. But since the last 2 reissues, I really dug this album, especially with this reissue back in '23. So it's kind of late to the party with this album. I mean, you got some great songs. Darkness, which sort of has that sound effects opener and great vivid drum solo from Kevin Whistler. Awesome drum solo. Then he kicks in the song High Gear. Let My People Go, another great tune. America, another fast-paced song, kind of fast-paced like Out of Darkness, great tune. Then you get into It's All Right, another great tune with a excellent rhythm guitar. Then you get into a sort of I wouldn't quite call it a ballad, but sort of a slower paced song called Top of the Mountain. It's a great praise tune. Great tune. Then we get into Hey You. Hey You kind of reminds me of Motley Crue a little bit. Got that vibe to it. Great tune. Then we get a Mad Dog World, kind of like a dog kind of theme to song. Then we get into more of another slower song called Changing Me. Probably a song I like the least in this album, but still it's a good song. Great tune. And then we get into New Age Illusion, which is about basically, deception of false and fake beliefs. So it's got 9 songs. The album runs around 40 minutes long, and great album. So also in the booklet, it has a nice collage on the inside. There you have it. So it's kind of cool to have that. Yeah, there you have it. And here's the other side there, which you probably seen earlier in the video. Great album. And this, like I said, this is my favorite Bloodgood album. I mean, I think this album can stand up to any album released in that day, like Motley Crue, Dr. Feelgood, any mainstream album that was at around the same time period. Like Motley Crue, Dr. Feelgood, Skid Row, their debut, probably, who else put an album out around that time period? AC/DC, Razor's Edge. They can stand up to any album that day with the awesome guitar playing of Paul Jackson, the bass work of Michael Bloodgood, the drumming of Kevin Whistler, and the lead vocals of Les Carlson. And as we know, I mean, I find to the band, Michael Bloodgood was surrounding himself with great musicians. I know they had J.T. Taylor on drums for the first Bloodgood album. They had Mark Willing on the second and third, and they had Kevin Whistler on this one. Then they had newcomer Paul Jackson on this album, and David Sefer on the first 3 albums. So I mean, they've had great musicians that came and went over the years while they're active as a band. Of course, Kevin Whistler returned on the album, the last one they put out back in 2013, Dangerously Close as well. So he contributed his great drumming technique with that album too. So yeah, great album from Bloodgood, Darkness. I encourage you guys, if you haven't got this, to pick it up. If you kind of glossed over this album like I did years back, I encourage you to revisit the album because it's an incredible album. I kind of wish I did not gloss over this album like I did back in the day. I really kind of focused this album and looked into it in a greater detail during the last 2 reissues. There you have it, Bloodgood, Out of Darkness. Pick this up. I recommend it. Bye now.